Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Rangers Review Morning Briefing for Tuesday, the 21st of January. I'm Derek Clark, and I'm joined this morning by Chris Jack. How's it going, Chris?
All good, Derek. All good. How's yourself?
Yeah, all good, thank you. All good. Live from the Jackmobile this morning. Is it a school run? You heading off to a meeting? What's the drama today?
No drama today. The school run has been done now on the nursery run. Just didn't quite enough time to get back and get set up in the office. So coming from you live from the car, but I'm here, and that's the most important thing.
Absolutely is. Right, let's get stuck right in, folks. Just a heads up what is to come, incidentally, before we crack on, a bit of admin. Tomorrow, there won't be a live briefing as such at 9:30, because Chris and Joshua will be en route to Carrington for the Man United game. It's press conference day tomorrow, so heading down there. Both press conferences taking place tomorrow. Rangers is at Old Trafford tomorrow afternoon, so they will be in transit. So what we will be doing, I'm recording a Q&A with Joshua a little later on for those of you on the extra channel, and we'll release that tomorrow at 9:30. So there will be a show coming your way. It just won't be live, but we do plan to record a live show tomorrow from Old Trafford tomorrow, late afternoon, early evening. So that is a bit of a schedule change for tomorrow, but you'll still get your Rangers content. Looking forward to your trip down, Chris?
Josh is picking me up first thing. I'm hoping he's got the scarves for the parcel shelf and the flags for the back window and all the. Hopefully he's got a CD for us as well. But no, he's going to pick us up first thing, heading down to Manchester, straight to Carrington. Man U presser is the back of one at the training ground, and as you say, out to Old Trafford for Rangers. They're due to be there about 4 o'clock, so slightly earlier for European presser as well. Normally they are at 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night sometimes, and you're relying on the Rangers leaving on time, getting there on time, getting through passport control, getting through various bits of traffic on their way to the stadium. So hopefully this time it should be somewhat straightforward. Rangers training at Auchenhowie first thing in the morning, and then flying down to Manchester. So fingers crossed, all goes to plan. And as you said, we can myself and Josh will be live early evening at some point before we head out for a bite to eat, and might even have a beer at the end of a long day.
Yeah, it'll be richly deserved. Let's hope it's a successful trip to those of you that are extra members. I spoke to Man United podcaster Jim Motti yesterday, which was a good chat with him from the popular Stretford Paddock fan channel, and he gives a bit of insight into Man United. All is not well, at Old Trafford at this moment in time. It doesn't take a genius to figure that out. I think Rangers are getting them at just the right time. Need everyone to be on their game to get a result, but I just have a sneaky feeling Rangers are going to go down there and get a positive result. I hope I am proven right. Before we can discuss that game in great detail later on in the week, but Chris, transfers dominate as ever, of course. Rangers have brought in their first signing over the weekend in Rafael Fernandez. Who knows when we'll see him, given the Philip Clement's comments saying he's not ready to play. However, departures are on the agenda. Looks like Alex Lowry is nearing a departure from Ibrox, said to be in talks with Wycombe Wanderers, who are flying high in League One. They have recently lost their manager who joined Luton Town, which is a bit of a blow for them, Matt Bloomfield, but a good club for him down there. We expect him to leave.
Yes, as a short answer to that one, I think Josh had a story on the site a couple of weeks ago about Lowry and Devine saying that Rangers would be happy for both of them to move on. I think we've touched on the situation of a number of youth players over the last couple of weeks for the likes of Lowry, King, Devine. It's just not worked out for them at Ibrox, and the time has come for them to move on. I think it makes sense for them to move on and go and try and further their careers elsewhere. Interesting to see how Alec does down south. I think he's, out of all of them, he was probably the one that people were most excited about. Like when he was coming through the youth academy, a lot of people saying, "Wait till you see this kid, Alec Lowry. Wait till you see what he can do. He'll be a Rangers player," and it's just never quite worked for him. Obviously, circumstances involved in that, and it's just not quite. His Rangers career just not quite panned out how we all thought it would and how a lot of people hoped it would do. So I think it makes sense for him to move on. As you said there, he's going to a team who are playing well every week, who are picking up points, who are challenging for that League One title. I think they're only 2 points behind Birmingham, having played a couple of games more. So you'd imagine with the financial power that Birmingham have, they would go on and win the league. But if it can go into a side that's clearly going to be challenging for one of the automatic spots, or at the very least a playoff spot, go in there, play regularly, and that should hopefully allow him to kickstart his Rangers career, because we've seen, even though he's not been playing all that regularly for Rangers over the last couple of seasons, you see the odd B-team game, you see the odd clip from here and there, and you think there's still definitely something there. There's clearly a talented player within Alec Lowry. He just needs a platform to go and do that. So as you say, we had the story on the site yesterday afternoon to say that Wycombe are in talks. It looks like that one's is progressing. So he will leave Rangers. It looks like it will be Wycombe that win that race for his signature.
I think that's a cracking move for him, I've got to admit. Like I said, that they're flying high. Whether they can sustain that until the end of the season, they caught everyone by surprise, Wycombe, but they have lost not just their manager, they've lost a couple of players that they had on loan as well, which may just affect them in the long run. But yeah, it's a good club for them. Don't get many in the door there at Adams Park, but it's get a good atmosphere, and I'm sure he can thrive in that environment. So yeah, he looks to be on his way. Earlier, I mean, in the month, we reported that I think Adam Devine was another one that was free to leave, Chris. He's one. Leon King is another who I was surprised never get more game time at the weekend. I think for the good of their careers, they simply have to move on this month. Whether that's just anywhere, if it's a loan deal, whatever, they need to be playing football.
I think if Leon King wasn't any doubt about where he sat in the Rangers pecking order the last couple of weeks, really show that. Insiala getting the nod, coming in, taking his chance, playing really well. A lot of positive talk around him, and Leon's getting the odd bit of game time here and there, getting a handful of minutes in games rather than getting starts. If you can't get starts at this stage, it's fairly obvious that Rangers is not going to be the club for you. So again, I think it's best for him to move on. Wages might be a stumbling block for anybody that wants to take him this month. It'll be interesting to see if that materialises over the next couple of weeks. In all likelihood, it'll be the summer before he moves on. Adam Devine, obviously, this got his loan to Motherwell this time last year. I actually spoke to him for a big interview on the site about that loan, and he was really honest to say his Rangers career just hadn't kicked on in the manner that he thought. You think back to that night up at Ross County and Michael Beale saying the captain has to look over his shoulder and all that kind of stuff. Clearly didn't quite pay off for Beale or for Devine. That time at Motherwell, it ticked a box. It did a job for him. Didn't really go in there and do well enough to say, I'm going to go back to Ibrox and challenge to be the right back. Clearly not going to be the successor to James Tavernier. Clearly has to move on. And again, interesting to see what level these guys end up at. I think they've all got enough ability. Having come through Rangers, they should have the right mentality. So Rangers have hopefully prepared them for a career elsewhere. It's just unfortunately not going to be at Ibrox for them. But you obviously know that League One level a lot better than me. Would you think that that's the level for them, or do you see them as potentially going to the Championship?
No chance in the Championship, I've got to say. There's a lot of good clubs in League One. I know that was it Salford or Carlisle that King and Lowry were linked to in the summertime and never materialised. They're both League Two, and I think they are better than that. So Carlisle, I think, at the bottom of League Two at the moment, although they are well supported. But Wycombe, I think that's a good move for Lowry. But for regards to Devine and King, I can see them playing in League One. I think that would be a good move if they can get switches away and find clubs there, even if it's at lower end, just to kickstart their careers, because they have both stalled, it's fair to say, in the last couple of years. You could say it's been a bit of a waste. They haven't really kicked on. Remember, we spoke to Adam Devine, remember, Chris, when Gio was
Yes,
as coach a few summers ago, and then he just obviously was part of that team that beat Hearts before the Europa League final, and you're thinking he would go on and kick on, albeit James Tavernier was ahead of him, but it just didn't quite happen for him. So, and Leon King, as we know, we touched on him yesterday as well. I think it's for the good of both lads that they go out and play football elsewhere. There's an interesting article on the website, folks, as well. I'd urge you to go and check it out this morning. Joshua delves into Rangers' recruitment strategy and how it has changed with Niels Coppin's promotion and how Rangers no longer scouting players in the English Championship because of inflated wages. They've now got a scouting presence in Germany, Italy, and they're looking at different markets, as we've seen. Morocco is another one. Cyprus, of course, where they got Jeff. Did they have to be looking outside of the box to get players in for value? And Rafael Fernandez, like I said at the top of the show, Chris, whether we see him, when we see him, who knows? But I think that's with one eye on potentially looking at next season. Rangers do have an option to buy on him, given Philip Clement's comments on him. It's something where they're just looking to assess him between now and the end of the season before making a judgment call on him.
He doesn't sound as if he's going to come straight into Team at Tannadice, does he? Not no. By the way the manager has spoken about him over the last couple of days. So I'd be surprised if we see him anytime soon. But obviously we have to see him at some point. Rangers need to know what they've potentially invested in come the summer. So he's also have a similar profile to a lot of the players that they've signed. Not a lot of experience, but Rangers hope he does have a lot of potential. I know Josh has got a piece on him on the site over the next couple of days, a bit more detail on Fernandez and what he could potentially bring to Rangers. Having seen Nsiala over the last couple of weeks, I'm pleased that they didn't go and spend over the odds on someone who's a bit more experienced, who's definitely going to come in and definitely going to play. I think Nsiala more than deserves his crack at that spot now. Also, Leon Balogun is back, Proper's there. We're hoping that the injury situation will get cleared up a wee bit, but I think Nsiala has done enough to deserve his place in the squad. He's done enough to deserve getting some more game time, and that's what Rangers have to do. They need to know what these guys are actually capable of. So there'd be no point in someone like Nsiala getting 4 games and then completely falling out the picture over the next couple of months. There's no point in signing Fernandez, and we don't see him until the last 2-3 games of the season, when it's obviously going to be the deadest of dead rubbers at that stage. Rangers need to put these guys into proper fixtures to see what they can do, to see what the level they're at, to try and judge what level they can get to. Because how many times have we addressed this fourth pillar of Rangers and the transfer model and player trading and all the key buzzwords for it. Rangers have to get better at it. They need to spend their money more wisely. They need to spend it in different areas, spend it in different ways, and they have to make more from it. So hopefully, as Josh outlines in that piece on the site this morning, they've gone down a different route in terms of their scouting. They've obviously, as we know, they've adjusted the makeup of the squad. They've adjusted the wage bill. All of these things hopefully will pay dividends for Rangers. Of course, they have to pay dividends on the park first and foremost. That's where everything is judged. But going forward, it has to be this evolution. Patrick Stewart mentioned in his press briefing a couple of weeks ago that they're not going to go for short-term fixes. That's fine, but you still need short-term success. You can't just keep promising fans this team will be really good in a couple of years' time. So as long as they get that balance right, then I think it's the wise way to go down.
Yep, a little snippet from that piece, folks. Rangers have invested in a bespoke in-house data set that combines technical and physical data. It's been built by 2 data engineers to offer an extra layer of detail and context in recruitment. So given the physical nature of the Scottish Premiership and the more intentional use of in-person scouting, especially when scouring the world and not just local markets, this development is viewed as key. It allows the club to benchmark not only a potential signing's technical data against the current squad, but also their physical data as well. A lot of clubs using going down the data route, of course, in regards to scouting players. There's still an important element with regards scouting. I think you need to go and watch players with your own eyes to determine whether they would be a good fit at the club. But also goes on to detail Philip Clement's role in recruitment as well, and why the manager doesn't sign the players. So it's well worth a read. Do go and check it out, folks. A few comments coming in about other potential departures, Chris. This one, of course, the manager touched on it after his game against Fraserburgh on Sunday. George Higgins says, any news on Dessers going or anyone coming in? No new news since that press conference. I think there is interest in Cyril Dessers. Listen, would you be surprised if he was still a Rangers player when the window closes at the end of the month?
I'm going to have to sit on the fence on that one, because I don't really know how I see this one unfolding. I think there's an interview with Cyril back in Holland last week where he admitted that he may have to move on if he's not going to get the game time that he wants. He then had the manager's comments at the weekend saying, well, if that's basically saying if that's the route he wants to go down, that's fine. But from a club perspective, he wants a player in that's going to replace him. I think there's quite a lot in play. If you look at Dessers, he's not going to be the first choice centre forward next season. I think a lot of people would not have him in the Rangers squad next season, which is fine. If you then want to move him on, when do you then maximise his value? Do you do that in January when clubs maybe know you're happy to get rid? If you go another 6 months down the line, his contract situation obviously changes. He's then slightly closer to the end, and then perhaps not worth as much in the market. Flip side, if you can keep him and he can continue to score goals, which for all his faults he does do, does that give you a couple more things that you can put into his highlights reel to then potentially bring other suitors to the table? So I think there's quite a lot in play on the Dessers one. So to give you a kind of fudged answer, I wouldn't be surprised if he moves on, but I wouldn't be surprised if he stays. And I think from a Clement perspective, he will only be happy to allow Cyril to move on if he knows he's getting someone in. Obviously, Igaman is the man of the moment. He's every game Rangers play right now. He's the guy that the fans rightly want to see in that centre forward role. Danilo, I think, deserves that spot and behind him ahead of Barami at present. But if Dessers then moves, another one doesn't come in, it does leave you a bit short. We also saw Finlay Curtis and Zach Lovelace at the weekend. Are they ready to make that step up and to go and fulfil that number 3 striker role? Probably not. I'd be surprised if the manager was happy to kind of go down that route over the next couple of months. So I think he will want, as he said at the weekend, he'll want someone in if Cyril was to move on. That's perhaps not the case in other areas of his side. I think we also had the story regarding Matondo and Dowell last week. I think you could move on Kieran Dowell and say, well, that's just a place open for Bailey Rice. You can move on Matondo and say, well, that's fine. We've got Cortez, we've got Hadji. We can maybe put Curtis or Lovelace in that area. It's different at number 9. Rangers do need another option if Dessers was to move on. But in terms of links to strikers, it's been very, very quiet over the course of the window so far. So that may be one that rumbles on towards the final few days of this window.
Yeah, I think it's reliant on Dessers leaving if Rangers go out and get a replacement. Another player I wanted to touch on, who I doubt we'll see again, personally, just an opinion of mine. It's Naratio Kasanwirjo, of course, in rehab at this moment in time after getting injured with Rangers. He's out for a number of months. Report over at Noticed in Holland saying that, of course, Feyenoord, there was murmurings whether that loan could be cancelled. It's due to Dinamo Zagreb looking to sign the Feyenoord winger Luka Ivanusek, but it requires Feyenoord, they can only loan out a number of players. So it looks like they are in discussions with Rangers about cancelling the loan contract of Kasanwirjo to allow Ivanusek to leave Feyenoord and join Dinamo Zagreb, who are coached by none other than Fabio Cannavaro, which is interesting. So, Kasanwirjo, Chris, Rangers had an option to buy on him as well. And just playing devil's advocate, if he gets fit at the end of the season and Rangers are welcome to make an offer for him. I'm not too sure I would be, albeit he was. I think he showed up well when he played. Whenever he pulled that jersey on, he's just injury prone for me. I wouldn't be going into that one paying. Don't know what Feyenoord would want for him, but I would be a bit reluctant, I think.
I think that would be, if you look at the Rangers' history of late in terms of injuries and signings and some of the luck or judgment that's been involved in that, I think he'd be quite a difficult sell to the fans at present just because of that injury. You look at the Cortes situation last season, people were saying, well, why are Rangers committing money to him when he also had his injury troubles in the second half of last season? Those troubles, unfortunately, have continued into this season. Like you, I thought Kasanwirjo looked the part. I thought there was definitely something there. He looked like he could be a valuable member of this squad and could progress to be a good player for Rangers. They would need to be as sure can be that there is no longer lasting impact of that injury. You've also got guys in the squad who have had knee injuries of late, or in terms of Hadji and Danilo, they've come back, but their rehab it was long. It took them a long time to get back fit, to get back up to speed. Will Rangers want to wait on Kasanwirjo? Is he worth waiting on? He could be, but I think a lot of fans would say let's go and allow another club to find out whether that's going to be Feyenoord, whether he moves elsewhere. I think it would just be too big a risk, unless also they will do all the tests. They'll go through all the correct procedures. They'll try and tick every box possible. If Rangers are completely sure that he's going to be okay and there's going to be no issues with that injury, fine, by all means move for him. But you do so knowing that the first time he picks up a knock, you know what the reaction is going to be. You know what fans are going to say. So that's going to be a big call for Rangers to make over the course of the summer.
Yep, Maka rightly points out he was injured playing for Holland, Derek. Yes, which is more galling given he was on loan at Rangers. I think it was against England, wasn't it, where he done his knee in. He's had 2 previous knee injuries before, several years ago now. But as Derek quite rightly says, I've had 3 knee ops, never the same after the first. Stay away from repeat offending by signing injury-prone players. So that is his point of view on that one. Let's move on. Other potential departures and news of that, if there is any. Scott D and a few others. He says, anything on Matondo, Dowell and Lawrence making moves? Matondo and Dowell, of course, have been told to go and find new clubs. Tom Lawrence have seen a link with Besiktas, which appeared, I think, was in the summer or last year. I can't quite recall. But they have a new manager, of course, as well. Giovanni van Bronckhorst was dismissed. A tad premature, I reckon. But they've brought in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in there, and he worked with Tom Lawrence back in the day at Manchester United, I believe. But those 3, same applies with the question about Dessers. Chris, they have to move on this month, surely.
In an ideal world, they would, because you look at the 3 of them, that's a significant amount of wages that Rangers could utilise better. I think it's safe to say.
Oh, yeah.
They've just not contributed in the manner that Rangers required them to. There's a lot of money also invested in Dowell, or invested in Matondo, sorry, in terms of a transfer fee. Dowell and Lawrence and Matondo, they're picking up a decent wage between them. And that's when you look at how Rangers reprofiled the squad over the summer. You're looking at 4, 5, 6 players perhaps coming in terms of what they're actually picking up a week, and there's not enough end product there. Form and fitness concerns for all of them. Rangers won't be hard to deal with. Also, Tom Lawrence is in the final months of his contract. If anyone wants to take him this month, I said Rangers will be easy to deal with. If not, he's not going to get offered a new deal. I'd be amazed if that happened. And as I touched on earlier on, we had the story last week regarding Matondo and Dowell being told to move on. So hopefully Rangers are able to do something with that, because the 3 guys who just don't have a longer term future at the club, and you look at those positions and those wages, you have to take that back in and then go and reinvest it in a far more profitable way on and off the pitch.
Yeah, and there was a question that came in as well on Lyall Cameron, of course, linked with the move to Rangers. Look at the point, when we'll hear about Lyall Cameron. He's a player that's out of contract in the summer. Rangers said to be keen on him. Can you see a deal being struck this month, Chris? Whether that's a pre-contract, or can you see him coming in Glenn Kamara style?
It sounds like it. It sounded fairly positive last weekend or the week before. I lost all track of the days, but it sounded fairly positive at one stage. Also, Rangers definitely interested as a player that they like. I think he would be a good option. Is he going to come in and be a starter? Is he going to come in and make a massive difference? I don't think so. He's someone who has good Premiership experience now. He's someone who is of an age where there should be progression, there should be improvement in him. How much progression, how much improvement, time will tell. So I don't think he's going to come in and be an immediate starter, an immediate difference maker. But if that deal was done, I would be I'd be happy enough with it from a Rangers perspective. And it's then about when do Rangers try and action that, and as Mike touched on the Glenn Kamara situation, the Rangers do the pre-contract, have that all in place, and then go to Dundee with a couple of days left at the window and say there's X amount, do you want it or do you not? And it's then up to Dundee whether they want to take that or not.
Yeah. Other news, of course, you'd have seen, last night after Dundee progressed to the fifth round of the Scottish Cup at the expense of Dundee United. The draw was made and Rangers given a home draw, a favourable one. They'll take on a Championship side Queen's Park. That match will take place the weekend beginning the 8th of February. You always want a home draw, Chris. Can't argue with that. You should be expected to turn up and beat Queen's Park. Decent draw for Rangers.
It's probably one of the best ones that they could have hoped for and could have asked for. As you say, a home tie is the first thing that you're looking for first and foremost. This season, above all seasons, given the issues that Rangers have away from home, so I think they will be extra pleased that they don't have a potentially tricky away trip to make in the cup. I say if you end up a Championship side at home, it's not quite as big a gap as we saw on Sunday against Fraserburgh, but it should be another game where you can make a couple of changes, still be confident of going through. Could we see Mason Munn get another game? We should see Bailey Rice get some more game time. Could we see Lovelace and Curtis again? Would not be against that at all in that game. And as I touched on with Inciala earlier on, we need to see what these boys can do. Premiership is all but gone. We know there's still pressure on these games. There's huge pressure on them from a Clement point of view. He cannot afford to keep shipping points at the rate that he has been away from home. So he has to balance that up. He can't just hand out match minutes just because guys are 18, 19, 20. They have to be earned. They have to be given for the right reasons. But hopefully if these boys can stick in and show the right things in training, there will be more game time, certainly against Queen's Park in that tie in the fifth round, and then hopefully in some of the Premiership matches to come as well.
Yep. Right, folks. We'll wrap up there. Thank you to you all for tuning into the show as ever. It's greatly appreciated. Just a reminder, a heads up of what is to come. Those of you that are extra members, and myself and Joshua will be recording our weekly Q&A show this afternoon. And given that Chris and Joshua will be en route to Manchester tomorrow morning, there is no morning briefing live, so we will release that Q&A to you all at 9:30 tomorrow morning if you're not a subscriber on the extra channel. So at least you've got a video, and we will be live later on tomorrow, probably early evening, as we discuss all what was said from both press conferences ahead of Man United against Rangers on Thursday evening. Very much looking forward to that game. Right, thank you as ever. And if I don't speak to you later, then enjoy your Tuesday. Bye for now.